Hello to my YouTube, Photoshop, and photography family. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking me out. If you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe and click the bell and like the video. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Retouch4Me, specifically their crop application. They asked me a few months ago, a couple months ago, I think now, to review this product. I told them I would, but then when I downloaded the product and I looked at their website, I wasn't 100% sure if it was finished. First of all, let's get some things out of the way. This isn't, they call it a plugin, but it's not. It's a standalone application. At least I couldn't find any way to install it into Photoshop. The way that I know it works now, I don't know how it would work in Photoshop. I don't think it could. The other thing I noticed was cropping is normally part of, I mean, it's in Lightroom. It's an option you can crop and straighten in Lightroom. You can't really straighten or crop intelligently in Lightroom. You can straighten and crop one photo and then apply those changes to the rest. But if the rest are different in any way, then you might run into issues because it may not be straightened properly or cropped properly. So I wish Lightroom would come out with that. That would be a game changer. But Retouch4Me has this application. This is the application. It's very simple, and that's okay. Simple is good. Doesn't have to be complicated. But when I was kind of going through this, I noticed that it doesn't support PSDs. It doesn't support RAW. So the expectation is that you actually will have had to have gone through editing first in your post-production workflow and then exported those files and then run this. And you export those files in JPEG and then you would run this. So, and that's not a huge deal, but ideally, it's like what I said, if Lightroom could come out with a mass cropping feature, a mass straightening feature that's intelligent, that would be awesome. But or if Retouch4Me would like to create a plugin that would do that, that would be amazing. So anyway, but until then, you have to drop your JPEGs in here. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's take a look at the application. Okay, so this is the application. And what you do, I've already exported a bunch of files for this demonstration into a folder called headshots, and then the originals, I called it originals in here. This was a headshot session that I did at an event for a company. So these people weren't necessarily dressed to the nines. It was a pretty relaxed event, but they got their headshots. So I went ahead and did that. I was hand holding. So there's a lot of variance in these photos as far as space, real estate above the head, as you can clearly see. Some of them are tighter than others. Some of them are zoomed a little more out, a little further out. Let me get rid of that one because it's not going to work with two people. Okay, and so what I want to do is use this product to crop in closer, to get a tighter shot, and to make them all consistent. So let's see if that's what this does. So we're going to go ahead and drop, and there's about 280 or so. We'll drop it in here. Now, you can choose a photo here to adjust the settings. And here's a little, just a little something for Retouch4Me. There's no instructions. There's a video on their website. Let's pull up that real quick. That goes over, it's this one right here. They call it quick review. It's kind of like more like a preview is what I would call it. And I think they have like an AI generated person who talks about it.
Do you need to crop a large batch of photos to the same format?
Okay, so it goes through installation. Quick intro there. He goes through installation, and then he goes through and shows you very quickly on how to get it to work. There's various modes: automatic, there's a fixed mode, and then there's a completely manual mode. He goes over them very quickly, and it's hard to understand exactly how this thing works without more defined instructions, without more clear instructions. So I'll try my best to explain how this thing works. So what you do here is we're going to click on the first photo, and up above you'll see various modes. So this says crop. You can choose an aspect ratio. We're going to keep it at 2:3. That's kind of neat. You can choose a custom aspect ratio. And then there are these kind of predefined crops, and they use the body parts to explain what kind of crop you'll get. So face and shoulders. If you want to do a close-up photo, you can do that, and then you can do upper body. There's also an auto mode. I think what this does is when you run it, it will choose the best option here. So some of these it may process as face and shoulder. So if we scroll through, and that's what this green dot is. This green dot represents the AI's best suggestion on how this photo should be cropped. That's what I gathered from the video. Okay, so if we go through and see here, we have an additional option that it can say it can go to faceless top. So that's what that looks like. So for this photo, the AI felt it could avail that option to me, whereas before it felt it could not. Then that's where it disappears. And I'm not sure what the difference is there. All of a sudden, faceless top becomes an option. I'm not sure what anyone would use faceless top for. Here's a good example of where it reduced my options to just face and shoulders and passport. Uh, now this is auto mode. If I go to fixed, I can change it to upper body if I want. So I think that's what we're going to do. I don't want to get into manual mode right now. I think fixed mode will do the trick. And what I want to do is crop this to the upper body. I want all of these photos cropped to the upper body. Okay, the straighten looks good. That's pretty cool. Custom margins, I'm going to leave alone. Fixed pixel size. Looks like you can choose your output on the outputted file. Okay, so we will do upper body, fixed mode, and then start the process. Now, my expectation is it will produce results that are consistent with the center, where it's centering the photo, and consistent with with the space above the head. I want it to look like the eyes are in the same general area for every person. When I'm going through these photos and looking from photo to photo, there should be relatively very little movement or variation with where the subject is positioned. That's my expectation. Let's see if that's what it does. Okay, so I click start. It asks me where I want to put them. Call it Retouch for Me crop results. Okay, click create and open, and now it's off and running. Processing 240 images. So we will let it do its thing. Okay, so it looks like it's all finished. Let's look at the results. Okay. So okay. So something interesting happening there, right here. I think what probably happened is these particular photos, when the AI encountered these photos, because I was forcing it on a fixed crop, it exceeded the boundary of the photo, and actually this should be black, but it looks like the photo. So let's take a look at that in Lightroom. In fact, so 7837. Yeah, so it was just it reaching the boundary of the image, and because I had it on fixed, that it's doing that. That's something they may want to look at. Retouch4Me, if you're watching this. Perhaps an indicator within your crop application showing the errors, that the AI encountered these errors and that the output may not be desirable, something like that. We're also seeing some inconsistencies with the space above the head, although some people have bigger heads than others. Yeah, I don't know, if you would ever get anything that's perfect a perfect result. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be slight variation. They really need to fix this though. That's just bizarre looking. Here we have a situation where it's cropping out the subject's top of his head there. Yeah, there's just, from this one to this one, they should really be consistent. I'm not seeing consistency here. This string in a row looks good right there, all in a row. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I expected. That would be ideal. See that? There's very little variation. The eyes are in generally in the same area. This one's pretty good too. Then it loses it there. Yeah, I think it's a good work in progress. They really need to get the instructions going for this product. But I'll tell you what, we're going to give them a chance, another chance here. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to let the AI completely control the output. And so we'll add them. Okay. And this time we're going to go to auto mode. So what I'm going to do is let the application, the AI, choose the best crop. Auto mode, and we'll do, and it's off and running. Okay, so it finished up with that batch. Let's take a look at the results. And while I was watching it, I could see that it was definitely cropping and doing close-ups like that when it felt it was warranted. So my guess is we probably won't have any of those weird artifacts. Yeah. So it encountered the boundary of the photo, decided it couldn't do upper body, and so it switched to face and shoulders in this case. Okay, so yeah, that's much better results. Same issues though with the, like, even the same subject. This is something they really need to look at. The same subject, there's variance. Let's take a look at those files. So there was plenty of real estate here that the application or that the AI had to make these consistent. So this is something that I really think they need to look at. That's not consistent. So that's my review. I think they're off to a great start. They have heal and these dodge and burn tools. If those two applications slash plugins are any indication, then this one will probably be very good in a very a short amount of time. Let's get the instructions going. Retouch4Me. Let's get the instructions on how to use it a little more thoroughly, more of a walkthrough, so that your users aren't confused. First of all, it's not a plugin, it's a standalone application. And this review here is very quick. The other thing that people may not be aware of is that this is only suitable after you have finished post-production and after you have exported all of your items out from Lightroom or whatever raw editor that those people are using, and that this only works with JPEGs. That really needs to be made more clear so that people aren't surprised after they purchase the product. Okay, thank you to Retouch4Me for letting me review this. I think it's on its way, just needs some fine tuning. And thank you to all of you for listening, and we'll see you next time.